Good evening, potheads, pussy slayers, and professional accountants. It's your boy, the best commissioner in fantasy sports. We are coming off a week 6 that was very entertaining, very down to the wire in several matchups, Zach not included. Um, and yeah, so let's dive into it. Have to mention the monstrous 5-team trade that took place this week and really gave me a headache putting together these power rankings. We saw a lot of running backs and receivers basically move. Some teams did a 1-for-1. Some teams traded 3-for-2, and then some teams just racked up like 8 or 7 players. And I had to drop a quite number of players for you, John. But it definitely made an impact this week. I'm going to go over it in a few minutes, but let's jump into the power rankings. With 2 notes. Sorry, I keep like faking you guys out. I'm just thinking of more stuff. I noticed that there was no trade deadline set up for the league, and the reason that's because we're allowed to do trades up until the draft with keepers or in the off season or even after the like right when the season ends basically. So the trade deadline I'm making week 11, which gives you guys weeks 7, 8, 9, 10, and the beginning of 11 to make moves. So very fair. Keeper plays will be in store, I'm sure. I feel like that's enough time. And just not doing 4 new nicknames a week, that's a bit ridiculous and redundant. So we're just going to go with 2 each week. I hope we like the ones that your boy came up with this week. So let's dive into it. I'll move myself to the right side of my computer. Number 8 this week, of course, is JG, who was involved in that monstrous trade, and I think it did improve him, considering we don't really know what Mike Evans is looking like in the Brady offense right now, but we do know for sure that the Chiefs are committed to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, even though Le'Veon Bell is still in the fold. Edwards-Helaire is a stud. So him, Melvin Gordon now in the mix. Not sure what he's going to do with the DUI situation, and Philip Lindsay back to health, and Drew Lock and the offense kind of banged up. But we do like him as an RB2. He was doing really well when he was healthy. The receivers look much better with Chris Godwin, Odell Beckham Jr., Cole Beasley's been consistent, Juju Smith-Schuster looking second fiddle to Claypool, but still good. And then I have Devin Singletary as your flex, who just needs to have a good game momentum for him to do well. Hunter Henry, that's really good considering Zach Ertz is out and you have a pretty suitable tight end right now. And then Big Ben, the Steelers are rolling. They're not an incredibly run-heavy team. It doesn't appear to be. So it looks like that he's much better for you than other guys that you've had. Another note I will introduce, because the trade was so fun for you guys, and you guys, Chris told me that I have to mention, more teams that have, depth and would be good trade partners. So for each team, I'm actually going to do you guys a favor, to my best opinion, what you guys need or want or should want, and then what you guys have that like could be on the market. So JG obviously needs receivers, even though I was just hyping them up. It's really just like an iffy Godwin in 2020 and Odell after a few good weeks. It's not great elsewhere. So I think that he certainly needs receivers, because he's got 2 Cleveland guys, and they're a run-heavy team. Baker sucks, and got Beasley. All these guys are on run-heavy teams or just not having greater years compared to last year. Not even close. So he does have Chris Godwin if everybody wants to buy low on Godwin right now. And JG, I think he needs receivers to make him better. And I will mention another thing that popped into my mind. We were like 2 CeeDee Lamb catches away from everybody not involved in that trade last week going down. I did pull out the win on number 7, who's Noom, who definitely not above me in the rankings this week. You're in the same spot. Didn't have Russ, but still incredible quarterback. Looking like a much more running back oriented team now with Kareem Hunt, Todd Gurley, Mike Davis in the fold now. You're starting Antonio Gibson, and the receivers not really scaring anybody. You know, a name doesn't really jump out at you. It's just a pretty solid Allen Robinson, pretty awesome actually. Brandon Cooks as of late without Bill O'Brien, and then Devontae Parker. You know, he is what he. Maybe he'll be a lot better with Tua. Actually, we don't know. And, you know, George Kittle's the real number one guy. He's the tight end that really scares you in this team. Numa's unfortunately 1-5. Team has produced but had a pretty tough schedule, losing a lot of close games. I feel like even though he's very RB oriented, he could be in the RB market because, you know, down the road, even though his team is pretty set up to do well immediately, I don't know if it's in the best interest long term. And what I mean is Kareem Hunt, not the number one when Nick Chubb comes back. Mike Davis only has like 1 or 2 more weeks of relevancy, I believe. Antonio Gibson, I think that they're incorporating McKissick more. The team is starting a new quarterback every week. And then Todd Gurley, you know, it looks like Matt Ryan with Julio Jones and, you know, Calvin Ridley back to decent health. Like, they're going to be passing the ball a lot more. So I think that Noom could be in the RB market, and he does have Todd Gurley, who you can sort of buy low on right now. And I think if anybody like really wants to pick up some games in the standings, Mike Davis could be the guy. He's probably most useful to Noom, I will admit, but if Noom is looking for like an RB upgrade and anybody like likes any of these guys like Hunt and Davis and Gibson and Gurley, like, you know, you have a potential partner here, despite Noom not having many weeks to lose anymore. Number 6, this is where we get into a real shocker, like real shocker. And I'm evaluating it like this. How I do the rankings is I start at the top, I compare the next team below, and see if they hold that spot. And anytime someone jumps somebody in the rankings, I have to compare it to the team above them until they stop. And I think a lot of teams moved up this week, and one team just like, I just don't like one team particularly right now. And they fell one more spot than they should have. East is 6. He's down 5 from the 1 spot this week. And this is like a very dramatic, like one loss, like just blows the whole thing up. If he was 6-0, I have to admit, I think he would be higher. He should have been 5th. But spoiler, Zach is 5th, and Zach just beat East. So I can't. Argument's kind of made. East is worse than Zach right now, I think. So my rationale for this is the whole Dallas offense is obviously much more hurt without Dak Prescott, and that impacts Elliott. Joe Mixon banged up since he looks, pretty slow. Obviously, the loss of Dak Prescott hurts Amari Cooper, Mini USA. The Hurt Lockett is the clear number 2 right now to Metcalf. Kupp, kind of the number 2 to Robert Woods, Bobby Trees right now, I think. TJ Hawkinson, they're running the ball a lot more in Detroit. He's got such a low ceiling, Hawkinson, I feel like. DJ Moore, the number 2 to Sir Perb, Robbie Anderson. And then Irish Airlines, you don't have Darnold. The team is a joke. They're pathetic. And Allentown has not surpassed a 30 in 3 straight weeks. So it's clear that this team has fallen from the very steadiness of its true core. And I think that East, looking in the mirror, there's not anybody that's just gonna just clearly dominate. It's a lot of boom or bust right now with Cooper Kupp, with Amari Cooper, with Tyler Lockett, especially with Joe Mixon, especially. So I think that East needs a little more firepower if we're going to take him more. Even though the projections are haywire right now, I think that he needs a pretty decent wide receiver upgrade. If anybody's looking for some running back depth, which East definitely has, Elliott, Mixon, Mostert, Lev Bell now on KC. There's probably one more guy I'm forgetting, but the guy who's hurt, Austin Eckler. So like, if anybody needs running back depth, I think East is really looking for like a a pretty strong wide receiver too, because I think that they're lacking in the last 3 weeks. Number 5, Zachariah, 2 in a row. Congratulations, you're no longer 0-4 at the bottom. You're 1-2 in a row. Murray 30, Kyler Murray does it every week. Had to put Zach up. King Henry, fucking incredible, 40 points. He might have had like 2 or 3, 4 catches. I don't know, but absolutely insane, Derrick Henry right now. I think he moved up to number. He had a bye week, but I'm pretty sure he's number 1 in average. Miles Sanders goes down. Sucks. Could have been higher. DeAndre Swift right into the mix. Probably going to be Miles Sanders-esque, honestly. Like getting carries, getting a ton of catches, getting the goal line work. Detroit's looking pretty good on offense right now. Slow week for Erica, but AJ Brown is clearly a number 1 wide receiver right now. Getting tons of no touchdown regression at all for him. Getting a lot of catches, getting a lot of yards like he always does. Pretty scary receiver. Mike Evans, a sexy number 3. Just a little slow right now. That's like the one dig right now is that Austin Hooper. That's the tight end right now. You might laugh at it, but he's been pretty decent lately. I think he's averaging like 12 points over his last 3. Darius Slayton scored again. Another good week for him. What more would you really want out of a flex than a guy that can just score touchdowns and get good catches and whatever? And the flex too, I think it could be is Travis Fulgham. Do you know who is the number 1 receiver this year in terms of average? It's Travis Fulgham. He's averaging, I think, 22 a game in his like 3 games. Pretty ridiculous. So a good team right now. Very, very much a good team right now. Should be competitive against the other teams in the mix. In this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 range. I think that Zach would be in the running back market just because there's not a lot of depth. Especially with Sanders going down, it's really just Henry and Swift, and I don't think Chase Edmonds is really getting a ton of carries anymore. So he has a lot of receivers, as I just mentioned, 5 really good ones, and I'm not including the guys on the bench for him. So if anybody is looking for any of those receivers, I don't know how attached Zach is to them. Mainly Mike Evans and probably Erica, I would think, is on the market because AJ Brown's his boy. He should probably be thinking about trading for a running back with Sanders getting hurt. Even it's probably only for like 1 or 2 weeks. I just think that he needs some depth, and he has wide receiver depth. Number 4, I put myself up 1 from 5 last week. I've scored the 2nd most points this year. I just don't think that I scare anybody without Dalvin Cook. And my quarterback hasn't been the likes of the previous 3 that I just mentioned. So Patrick Superstar, yeah, it was a weird matchup in the rain and against the Bills, but he's still an elite quarterback, one of the 4 best, I think. Without Dalvin Cook, I got James Conner, who's the lowest RB1 you could probably be. And I like him right now. And David Johnson, it's just so frustrating to give him the ball so many times on the goal line and on 3rd and 1, and he just can't break one. He just can't. He's just not the same anymore. And we know the line isn't strong. So yeah, they fucking blew it up last week, but he only got 1 score. So he's just such a shitty RB2 compared to the rest of the guys in this league. So I'm stuck with him without Cook. The receivers, bunch of fucking monsters right now. Julio Jones is back, dropped a 33, really won me the week because I was slow. Degeneration Metcalf, stud, didn't have him last week, but really good. He's like top 5 in average. Might be like top 3. Disney Channel, rain, snow, shine, Josh Allen and him match made in heaven. Really good wide receiver three I have right now. CeeDee Lamb didn't look like it hurt to have Andy Dalton because he was looking for him constantly. I think he had like 11 or 12 targets. And the defense is a joke, so they are going to keep passing, even if it's not going to be as accurate. He was really favoring Lamb, so those are really good for wide receivers. I'm starting Deebo Samuel as the flex right now. I think that him being healthy is going to have the effect he had late last season. It was just going to be like a really Swiss Army knife for them. And he got a lot of catches. And, Mark Andrews, boomer bust, tight end is a really weird thing to say, but that's what it is. And I think that just without Cook, I'm struggling. I'm not really looking to trade. I missed out on the last one, sadly. No one came to me or thought I was, viable to trade with, whatever. I could be in the RB3 market because David Johnson just is not like RB3 material. He's like treading water with Devontae Freeman's company. I do have wide receiver depth. I'm not even starting Julian Edelman. I have Deebo Samuel I couldn't really care about. I do have CeeDee Lamb. He's probably my most tradable guy because I don't know if I could trade the top three. So yeah, if anybody's like wants to talk like RB for wide receiver, like maybe I'd be into the conversation. Number 3 is Drew, up 1. Had to put him up 1. He's clearly top 3 company after the week he just had. Deshaun Watson's back. He is fucking back. He's scary. He's probably the best quarterback right now. Without Bill O'Brien in the mix and the defense just in shambles, he's Dak Prescott right now. In fantasy, that is. Now, Aaron Jones, Stone Jones fell into his lap. I'm really disappointed that he was traded from Gordy, but that's a sign that Gordy wants to stay off of the pot by trading Stone Jones to Drew, who might be needing it after his 12-hour days. But him, Josh Jacobs, Jingleheimer, Schmidt, really scary combo. And he got off the Mike Davis trail early, and if those guys don't scare you, he's having Christian McCaffrey come back soon. So Drew's going to have I think Drew's going to have 3 of the top 7 running backs for sure. Adam Thielen, he's very good, Adam Thielen. And Will Fuller as the number 2 is very good as a number 2. And don't look now, but you should. Justin Jefferson is wide receiver 7 in terms of points. Wide receiver 7. Wide receiver 7. He's like better than Deshaun Jackson. If he was the sexy play, Justin Jefferson's that. Like he won't give you. He's probably not going to give you like a 1 for 10 or 1 for 15 or 2 for 20 kind of day. Like he'll get his work, but he is so good at getting touchdowns and just breaking off on routes. He's crazy. I don't know how much Drew likes having 2 Minnesota receivers, but it's really good right now. And then Tyler Boyd has moved into flex conversation. That's outstanding, clearly. And then DJ Chark Jr., another stellar guy in the flex category. And then, Noah Fant was hurt. Evan Ingram's pretty ass. So the tight end spot is where he could potentially make a move. But I actually have Drew thinking receiver upgrade because there's so many running backs on his team that are very viable. And I think that Drew could really use, like, instead of all these guys that are like high end 10s and like 20s, or I think that he just kind of wants a guy that has a good chance of getting him 20 every week instead of waiting for the good matchup. So I think utilize Drew's RB depth if you are weak at that position and you're looking for if you're okay giving up like a solid receiver and getting a good consistent one back, off to Drew. Number 2 is Rad. It's really not close, but front 2 and the 1, but Rad very respectable number 2, even with the loss of Prescott, because Davante Adams is back and DeAndre Hopkins has a top 5 fantasy quarterback, and the offense is rolling. And Kenny Golladay is an absolute stud, and Keenan Allen's got your quarterback Justin Herbert, who's really throwing the ball a ton and quite well. The running backs are nice. Jonathan Taylor, I think, is your third best, and he's very consistent. James Robinson's probably the best one still, just because of how important and the workload he's getting. And then first nickname, I was thinking, Ronald Jones, you got Rojo Mojo, whatever. I decided on Jones McRonald. That's the most cringe nickname I've come up with, but I'm just thinking Ronald and old McDonald, and he's not, he's Jones McRonald. He's the clown. He's scary. He's lanky, and he's on the main stage with Tom Brady. So really good, deserving of a nickname after the few weeks he's had. Waller Greens, still a stud, didn't play last week, but still good. And I think that Justin Herbert and Matthew Stafford could be pretty viable when you're just playing matchups. And speaking of matchups, I'm very angry with the matchups that Rad has against me this week. If you want a quick laugh at my misery, I don't think I'm winning this week. You know, I have a good team. Stafford playing Atlanta, 32nd pass defense, that's last. Ronald Jones against Vegas, 31 rushing defense, second to last. Davante Adams against the not present Houston secondary. Kenny Golladay, I just mentioned, it's Atlanta. DeAndre Hopkins against Seattle. That's going to be a murder. Whoever's playing Zach should be really afraid too, considering he's got Kyler Murray. There's not a red matchup on this fucking roster right now. It's not like you're playing good matchups. These are your best players. Fuck, I got Mahomes at Denver. That's never fun. I got Metcalf against Patrick Peterson. I got CeeDee Lamb against the number 1 Washington defense. Stephon Diggs against the Jets, and they start to run the ball in the second quarter because the Jets are a literal nightmare. I'm pretty sure I picked up Joey Sly, who was on the COVID list now, so I had to pick up Carlson. Just fucking end me this week. Number 1, up 1. Scary team is Levy. And he is just 4-2. He's probably gonna get a lot better soon. That's the 4th consecutive 4-2 team. So Levy picked up Ryan Tannehill. It's a really good move, not just for bye week purposes. Him and Lamar, that's matchup heaven. Kamara Onana, still the best guy probably to have. You picked up Chris Carson, who didn't play, but now you have a very respectable number 2. The minute Kenyon Drake is a star all of a sudden, and David Montgomery is the clear guy in Chicago. Whatever, to Kamara and Carson, I can really only compare it to Jones and Jacobs, and they probably are better than Jones and Jacobs. Calvin Ridley, I'm sorry, pause. Rad doesn't have a bona fide stupid superstar. Running back 1, just a lot of good ones. His receivers are hilariously scary. Adams, Hopkins, Golladay, Allen, AJ Green, Preston Williams. So if anybody has, I'm talking about Levy, I guess. I mean, really good running backs, and you want a star receiver. I mean, that's probably Zach. That's probably East with all the running backs he's got. Why am I doing you guys favors? I don't know. But if anybody's got a star receiver, trade with Rad. He needs like a star running back with all the ones he's got. Levy, back to Levy. Calvin Ridley, absolute stud. They're throwing the ball. Matt Ryan looks great all of a sudden. Superb. Stellar. Terry McLaurin. Doesn't matter who's throwing the balls. He's a really good receiver. Bobby Trees, I think, is a flex. And as I'm looking around, we got a week more probably two with Mike Davis, and probably besides CeeDee Lamb, Bobby Trees is the top flex. And then the second best flex might be Chase Claypool, who you know, who did you trade? Yeah, see you later, Godwin. You got Chase Claypool, whatever. Um, so I think if Levy, I don't think he needs to make a trade. Oh, he's also got a new nickname from last year for the tight end. Speaking of Travis Kelce, Pastro World. Um, so if Levy is gonna make, well, I'm going on 25 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. Levy, um, if you're gonna make a trade, these receivers have been outstanding. I just don't know if you're going to be really happy with them weeks 15 and 16 if you're in the playoffs. So keeper value aside, weeks 1 through 6 aside, you don't have you really don't have any of the like very scary. We know you can go off wide receivers, and when I'm thinking of that, that's like your Julio Joneses, your Devontae Adams, your DeAndre Hopkins, your Mike Evans, I guess, your Amari Coopers. So like I think I think since you've been proven to have very consistent wide receiver production, I've mentioned a few teams here, especially JG, that need receivers. And you just traded him Godwin, but you maybe think about trading any of those really consistent guys for a bona fide superstar stud. And I should have thrown Adam Thielen's name in that category too, because he's deserving. Um, just my take. So JG is 8, Numa's 7, 6 is East, 5 is Zach, 4 is me, 3 is Drew, 2 is Rad, 1 is Levy. These have been a very fun power rankings. I hope you've enjoyed them. Don't forget to watch the debate on tomorrow night because it's the last one and it's pretty meaningful and should be entertaining, far more entertaining than fucking Carson Wentz without a running back and Daniel Jones without a defense. So, just I don't know. I hope we get together tomorrow. I hope everybody's having a good week. I surely am. That's it.